Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Diana Jingles. I'm one of the Associate Deans of Admission at Providence, and I'm joined tonight by Jackie Mackay. Jacqueline is our Director of the Parent and Family Program at Providence College, and she will be explaining some of the opportunities and resources available to different families. And then after Jackie has finished her discussion, the main event will begin, and we have 4 current student families here who will be sharing their perspectives, certainly having a child or children attend PC, and be able to give you some insight into what it means to be a parent of a Providence College student. And so this will be an interactive session. During the session, if you have questions at any point, please use the Q&A chat functions. You'll see the Q&A chat functions at the bottom, and we will be here monitoring those questions, answering as many as possible. So thank you all, and I'm going to turn it over to Jackie now.
Okay, well, thank you, Diana. And good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us for our parent-to-parent discussion. It's my pleasure to be here tonight. I certainly want to congratulate you on your students' acceptance to Providence College. I know how proud you must be for all they have accomplished to get to this important place in their lives, especially during these uncertain times. And before we hear from our families, who I know are very eager and excited to talk with you, to share their stories and to answer their questions, I'm going to talk with you about some of the resources we have in place just for families of Providence College students. First, a little bit about myself. I've been at the college for quite a while. My training is as a clinician. I was director of the counseling center and then assistant vice president for student services. I then moved over to academic affairs, was associate dean of undergraduate and graduate studies for a number of years. In my current role, I'm a faculty member in the graduate program in higher ed administration, and happily direct the parent and family program, which I developed about 15 years ago, I guess. I met my husband at Providence College. He was a faculty member in the chemistry department, later became the academic vice president. We both developed together the undeclared advising program, which received national recognition, and I'm happy to say it's been replicated at a number of other colleges across the country. So you can see that PC has been a big part of both my professional and my personal life. And I think of the college as a very special place where there's certainly a strong sense of community and sense of belonging. And I know our families later on will talk a little bit more about our feelings of community here at the college. Now we know that going to college is very much a family affair. And in this pandemic world of ours that we're all living in, those words certainly take on a whole new meaning, as I'm sure your students have looked to you for support and guidance more than ever before. So at Providence College, we view families as partners in promoting student success. Together, we challenge students, we support them, and we celebrate with them as they work towards becoming all that they are called to be. And clearly, the more you know about the college experience, the better able you will be to assist your students to make good and wise decisions. And so that's where our parent and family program comes in, to arm you with information and then to take that information and guide your students in the right direction. Our program goal, very simply, is we want to help parents to help students to help themselves. So very briefly, I'm going to highlight some of the resources that we have in place for families. We have a parent family webpage, which is the real hub of our information. And if on our Providence College homepage, you can click on top, you can go to parents and families, it'll bring you to our website. And there's links to all the campus programs, academic departments, student services, all of our resources, academic and non-academic resources that we have in place for students, information about college events, policies, academic policies, student life policies, talking points, talking to your sons and daughters about issues about safety and security, academic integrity, some good conversation starters that we have in place. There's a page on our website, Getting Ready for College, Suggestions for Parents. And here we simply address some of the issues that you might want to talk with your students about before they come to campus in the fall. Practical suggestions to help them become more independent. For example, doing their laundry, teaching them how to do their laundry in the summer. So when they come to campus, they know how to work a washing machine, or managing money. When you give them a credit card and you let them know, well, just use it in case of emergencies, making sure that you're both on the same page as to what an emergency is, right? Sharing your expectations, some suggestions about how to talk about issues about dealing with new freedoms and peer pressures. We have a parent family handbook, first year transitions. And I'm proud to say a number of years ago, it was named by the National Orientation Directors Association as the outstanding family publication by a private institution. The unique aspect of our handbook is that it takes a month-by-month look at the first year of college. And for each month or cluster of months, it looks at what's going on with students, issues for parents, and then some strategies as how you can assist your students during those times. We have a parent family blog, which is a great place to learn about life at PC. We share insights from parents and students and administrators. Ask a question link. You can send me a question, and within a few days, I'll get you an answer. And I have questions from lots of questions. How can I send my student a birthday cake in the residence hall? To how can my student change his or her major? And lots of times, if it's a policy question, I'll give you the information about the policy, but then also let you know who your student can contact, what office or individual, if he or she wants to follow through. Again, putting responsibility on your student for follow through. We have a language bank, a resource to assist non-English speaking parents and families. And this is a real community effort. I'm really proud of this program. We have about 24 faculty and staff members who have just volunteered to translate information of our parent program information in a number of different languages to assist families. Parent e-communications, about once a month, I send an email to parents. Sometimes they're 3 or 4 pages long, lots of information. I gather information all across campus and let you know about what's going on, campus events, important dates and deadlines, policy changes. Lots of the information your students have already received, but sometimes it's good for you to have a reminder, or to be able to, parents to be able to give students a little nudge about a program or an event that's coming up. So again, lots of information, just as we have wonderful resources for students, lots and lots in place for our families. I'm going to stop here because I know you want to hear from the real experts here tonight, who are our families, again, who are excited to share their experiences as Providence College family members of our community. I invite you to take a look at our website. I invite you to send me your questions if I can help you out during this time. I wish you the best. And certainly I wish your students the best as they begin their exciting new journey. Thank you. Good evening.
Terrific. Thank you, Jackie. We appreciate that. And with that, I also dropped in the chat the webpage to the Parent and Family Program. So feel free to check that out. As Jackie was explaining, there are chances to submit different questions and certainly connect with with her and the different opportunities and offices on our campus. So feel free to explore that. At this time, we will introduce our different families, and then again, like I said, the main event will happen where you have the chance to ask all of our different families questions. So we are joined tonight by 4 different families here. If you'd all like to unmute and unmute your cameras as well, that would be great. Perfect. And if everyone would like to introduce themselves, give a quick introduction explaining your student and your time, and then I will mute myself after the introductions and let you take it over. But Julie, could we start with you?
Sure, absolutely. Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here to talk on behalf of my son, Billy, who is he's a senior this year, but he is in his 3rd year at Providence. So had the excellent opportunity to do the 3+1 program. He entered in the honors track and is going to be finishing his MBA in 4 years. So he graduates from undergrad this year, and then we'll continue on and graduate with his MBA. So I'm looking forward to sharing his experience and asking your questions. He had a really fantastic time at Providence, and I do not have anything but good things to say about our experience. So I welcome your questions and look forward to talking with you.
And Eileen and Arnie.
Hi, everybody. My name's Eileen Biarno. This is my husband, Arn. I'm actually a class of '89 graduate, but we're here tonight to talk about our daughters who are, we have 4 daughters. 2 have graduated from Providence, class of 2017 and 2019. And then we have a current senior, so class of 21, and then a current freshman, class of 24. So lots of experience. They have all enjoyed it. They've all had their own special parts of the college that they enjoy, and they all have commonality too. So yeah, obviously we're overjoyed to have them all have this common experience at such a great place. So do you have anything to say as a parent?
No, it's been great watching them grow within the Providence College community, and I couldn't be prouder of them. So great.
Terrific. And Peter?
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Peter Acosta. I have 2 daughters. One already graduated, class of 2018, and she went out to Providence Business School, got out of that. And I have another one right now who will be class of 2022. My first one studied accountancy, and this one is studying psychology. It's been a great place for them. It's been a great place for us as a family. Common values as far as the university and its concept and the whole thing. It's been great having them both there. And I think that knowing that my first daughter went there and my second daughter went there, then you know it's a great university, because usually the second child doesn't want to go where the first one went. So that's all I got to say. And if you have any questions, feel free. I'm from Puerto Rico, so I'm kind of far away. If you guys are having some challenges with the distance, then I can help you out with that.
Great. And hey, everybody, I'm Adam, and this is Meg Benjamin. Our
Hi.
son, Aiden, is a current sophomore at PC, studying management with a minor in music. He's part of all the different bands and theater productions. And we were fortunate enough to be part of this program last year when COVID just started. And it was a much different conversation and different world then, because everybody was really trying to figure out what the school was going to do. And I think now tonight we could probably, excuse me, talk about what the school did, if there are any questions about it. And I think, I speak on behalf of Meg and hopefully the panelists here, that the school has handled the situation incredibly well. And the communication has been outstanding. There are genuine feelings of emotion sent to the parents through emails, through Facebook groups, through actual conversations for those families that really wanted to talk to somebody. So we can answer your questions as it relates to that or anything else. And again, please use the chat here and just start putting your questions in. Ask anything. It could be. It's funny when Jackie just mentioned about the laundry. When our son was home for Easter, we have a nephew who's going to college, and I said, give him 3 things that he needs to know before he goes to college. And he said, the Tide Pods are not reusable. Don't think that they're reusable. He said one of his friends was doing wash, and his friend called his mother and said, I can't find it. Do you know where it might have gone? So, there's a couple of those life lessons that maybe you'll pass on to them, and truthfully, maybe you won't, and they'll just figure it out themselves. So, Aiden is our first child to go to college. We also have a high schooler and a 4th grader, so we'll be doing this for a long time. And by the way, both Meg and I graduated from PC as well, class of 91. So, we have a long history with the school, and couldn't be happier with how it's been going so far for our son. So I will help moderate. Oh, by the way, anything that you?
I agree. It's been a wonderful experience so far.
So this might go maybe to Eileen and Arn, because candidly, the 2 of you could probably answer every one of these questions, having 4 children through the PC halls, and yourself, Eileen. But how about this first question? Is it safe where seniors live off campus?
Yes, I mean, our kids have always been on like in some of the streets, some of the closer houses to off campus, but we've never had any problems with anything. I think they've been in 029, 08 housing, which is, seems to give them all the direction on how to remain safe, along with PC security, guiding them on how to live, off campus. And they know too, they're certainly hearing it from us on how they need to handle themselves off campus. And we haven't had any problems ourselves, or, here and there you hear of something, and certainly the school jumps on it right away and alleviates parents' concerns, but I think we're comfortable with it.
Right. I think, it's safe to say that in any situation, young adults are responsible clearly for their own behaviors. And that, of course, plays a big role in it, but there's been no particular issues that any of our children have experienced, other than, just we tell them, keep an eye out and enjoy yourself. And once again, make good decisions.
Terrific. So there's a few questions here about housing. I think, first and foremost, there's a tremendous amount of information on the website. I know you all have probably logged on to other school websites and have to navigate and try to find it. You could either find this information on the PC website, or there's a Facebook group, and the Facebook group is actually really active, really good. It's just parents. I would highly recommend, before posting something, use the search functionality in the group, because honestly, every question you probably want to ask has probably been answered at some time. So if you already have students that or children that are coming to PC, and the question is, how high is the bed off the ground? Can I actually put drawers under there? Question's been answered, and there's height measurements and all that kind of stuff. So please take a look at that. I will tell you specifically for our son, he was in a dorm called Guzman his freshman year, and all boys, had a great experience. I think it was 3 floors, if I'm not mistaken.
And it's mostly triples. I think most of the rooms have 3 boys.
Yeah, and great experience there. This year, he's in suites, there are 2 different types of call them apartments. So there's the suites and there's the apartments. It's a little confusing, but suites have 4 students, so 2 bedrooms, a common room, a little kitchenette, and a shareable bathroom. And then apartments, I believe, are between 6 and 8 students. I don't know if anyone has that answer.
I think it might be 4 and 6 students.
Okay. Well, they're a little bit bigger, and
But if you go on the PC website, I think it has all that information about the housing.
and that has a full kitchen in it. So if anybody is really into cooking, but I mean, those are typically for sophomores and above. So the housing information, it's all on the sites. And our son also went in without knowing anybody. He went into the random lottery and was very happy with where he landed last year and loves his roommates this year, which are not his roommates that he had last year, but he's still very close with those guys. So does anybody else want to comment on housing or dorm life?
I know a big question, like you said, about going random or picking a roommate as a freshman. All of our girls picked somebody that they met through some of the pre-orientation programs. And it worked out well for each of them, but certainly you hear of equal number of people that go random, and it's a blessing they met somebody and they click and it's good. So I'd say it's all with whatever makes your student feel most comfortable, is what you probably want to lead with.
The Facebook group, I believe, is just called Providence College Parents. So if you go onto Facebook and request the moderator, there's 2 moderators who I believe are current parents.
They're current
And
Providence parents.
you
You just have to answer a question to be accepted into the group.
Yeah, and it's very active. So, okay. Is there enough housing that students can remain on campus all 4 years if they choose? I believe there is, but I think someone from the school needs to definitively answer that. But I'm
pretty sure you can, but yeah, I don't know.
I can tell you that my son's living with a senior right now, and our son is living with a senior right now. How often are kids generally going off campus and into Providence for social activities? Is this common, or are most kids staying on campus? Does anybody want to grab that one? Peter, do you know if your daughter's spent time off campus at all?
Well, my second daughter's not spending any time off campus now with COVID. But I can tell you that my first daughter, she spent a lot of time on campus. There's a lot of activities, and particularly the sports and stuff like that. Providence has very good sports teams, and there's a lot of school spirit. So she spent a lot of time on campus. Also, I'd like to point out my daughter was the only one from her school that went to Providence. So when she showed up there, she didn't know anybody, and had a great experience with the person with the young lady that ended up being her roommate, and she's made wonderful friends. And it was great. I mean, great. She still hangs out. She stayed stateside. Let's start off with that, but. She's hanging out with her friends all the time, and they're very close. They're like sisters. So that's it.
I actually think this year, I mean, obviously it's a very unique year for everybody, but I do think that the students figured out, Uber Eats is a great opportunity to bring some of the off campus onto campus. Like, there's a tremendous amount of great restaurants that are not necessarily just your typical fast food, right inside a 5-mile radius of the school, that a lot of the students have been taking advantage of, from what I've been hearing. So, but yes, of course, based on what Peter's saying as well, there's just a lot of culture. There's a lot of, as the weather breaks, there's a tremendous amount to do downtown with the river, with the coffee shops. I mean, it really depends on the student and what they like to do. Our son actually likes to stay on campus as much as possible. So, I think each student's a little bit different. I'm going to go back to the top here and work systematically down. So what have the students said about the development of Western Civ? Does anybody want to answer that question? I mean, Eileen and Arn, again, maybe you might have 4 different opinions from your children on what they thought of Western Civ or think of Western Civ.
I think in a nutshell, they like everybody else are like, oh, it's such a drain on my time, and there's just so much, and you got so many components of it. But I think certainly the ones that are out of out of Civ now look back and see how much they gained from it, specifically all the writing and the ability to, written work that has helped them obviously in the next steps in their career and stuff, just having somebody critique so much of your written work, which you did in high school too, but it's just different. There's a lot of writing.
Right. And it's really just one area where they one of many areas, I should say, where they share there's a lot of commonality there because they all took it and they have a lot of things to talk about and a lot of things to smile about.
Yeah.
Julie, did your son, seeing that he's a 3+1, did he take Civ for 2 years as well as part of that program?
So as part of the, yes, and as part of the honors program, I know I saw one question about that in the top, that they had a Civ for them as well. It was a little bit smaller, and I will tell you that my son is smart, but not a writer. And he did not write well in high school. And I was probably more petrified than he was when he entered this class because I just thought this is not a strong suit. But I have to say, PC had so many opportunities for them to continue to learn and get assistance. And right from the beginning, I remember Jackie gave a talk at our welcome weekend when we dropped him off, and it was, not just when you need help do you go to the writing center. Everybody goes to the writing or gets tutoring support, and it was never, that was something he started taking advantage of from day one and continued to, in Spanish and in many subjects. So there's a lot of resources, and he definitely used them. But Civ was hard. It's a hard to get through. But I think they all kind of like it when it's over. I mean, I think they feel accomplished. They got through such a great hard class, and PC is known for it, right? It's, people know that they have to go through that, and also makes them really good thinkers. So, if I can just comment on one mom or dad asked a question about, or parent, I should say, asked a question about what it was like leaving the nest. And at the time when Billy came to Providence, we were living in Utah. So we were completely across the country, like Peter, real far away. And I was, it was hard to drop him off and feel like, oh, is this, he's so far if something were to happen. And did something happen? Of course, right? It was like in that first few months, I had to run back and get there for something. But PC was great at supporting him and supporting us. And it didn't feel like he was so far away because the emails and comments were or the email and communication, honestly, was just so emotional and real. You felt like you were there, and that makes it really good. So it's a great place to be.
That was another thing that I had seen in the Facebook group last year, was a lot of parents just offering up their time for those families that lived so far away, saying, hey, if you need a parent just to bring something to your child, we can do it. I thought that was really, nice and genuine. And you will see that amongst the Providence community for sure. So here's one question that always seems to come up is, how do the kids feel about the food, the dining experience? So I'll ask Meg to answer this one.
Well, our son, he's not the most adventurous eater, but the food has been fine. There were some issues last year, and the students were very vocal about it, and the cafeteria made changes. And I have to say, it looks beautiful now. They have great selections, and he said it's so much better. He's been really happy with the food, and they can order from now. Well, now there's the online ordering system. They can order food and pick it up. So he said that's really handy. And they can order from Raymond, the main cafeteria, and then the other two, right?
Yep.
I don't remember what they're called, but he's been very happy with the food this year.
And again, if you want to get a glimpse into some of the food and the menus, I know there's a Instagram profile. I believe it's called PC Dining. So you could take a look at that. I mean, keep in mind, it's Instagram filters. Everything looks better with the filters on it. But the kids aren't going to starve. They can always find something that's good, that's healthy. The school is very, very cognizant with regards to allergies and making those, anything needs to be modified for a specific student's needs. So they do a nice job there. Okay. Let's see. Off campus, let me go down. How do we access Facebook? Did your kids pick roommates ahead of freshman year, or did they opt for random assignment? What were your experiences, pros and cons? Again, for our son, he went into the general pool, didn't know the roommates prior. It seemed like, when the students, obviously they get access to a Facebook group, I believe, as well. And it seems like a lot of students try to match up and friend them online first before they become friends with them in real life and all that stuff, but see their likes and interests and try to connect. I noticed that it seemed like a lot of based on talking to Aiden, a lot of the boys kind of just went general pool, and a lot of the young ladies actually wanted to find somebody to live with and felt more comfortable doing that. And also his very close girlfriends, they had actually met people through the Facebook group prior. So, but again, our experience was fine. He got on well with the other two individuals, really good guys from great families, and all three of them were very different in many ways, but they all, were able to live together in a very interesting time frame. So during COVID. So, Julie, any thoughts from your son?
He definitely did not pick a roommate in advance. That was definitely my daughter, when she went, had everything lined up, and it was like matchmaking. But not when my son got there, and his roommate is still he actually had 4 roommates. So there was 4 of them. They were in a quad his freshman year, and there was room for them to answer one of the questions. And I think it just became super fun to have 4 boys in the room. None of them had known each other before. And one of them is still his roommate, one of his roommates today off campus. So.
Eileen, Peter, anything on the rooming?
Yeah, go ahead, Peter, go ahead.
I apologize. My daughter, if I remember correctly, they fill out like a questionnaire of what you like, what you don't like, and all that kind of stuff. And the university the college tries to match you with the person. Or Andrea's experience was great. Like I said, she got along great with the person, and then she grew from there to her new friends. And like I said, Providence it's a great place in the sense that people are of similar interests are there. So it's not difficult for you to find friends very quickly, especially for us, because we come from another place, if you want to call it that. But my kids got in there and found plenty of people and common interests and love for many things. And it's you got new family members when you go back. So it's I would recommend it, based on my experience, to go that route.
Okay, great. So again, the website has a tremendous amount of information about the dorm rooms and how they're set up. And there's a few questions here, and it looks like, Julie, you answered a couple of them. But if it's a triple, there's 3 beds, there's 3 dressers, there's 3 desks. Our son's room last year, the closets were huge, and not only was it like just a big closet, but above the closets was this cavernous space that we found some of the stuff that we moved him in with kind of tucked in the back. So
there was definitely enough room for 3 boys. The only thing I would recommend are those hooks, the 3M hooks to hang up towels and things like that, and it won't damage the walls or the back of the door where we hung them for the boys' towels.
And a mirror.
And a mirror.
like one of those mirrors you can put up on a wall with the 3M tape on the back. So, and I remember last year there was a question that came up about packing and how much to pack and all. And again, I think it's all dependent on the students, but somebody had passed on to us this idea of going to IKEA, and they sell these blue bags, these foldable bags, which maybe you all know this already, but it was, revolutionary to us, and it's been great. Those bags are used for, packing to go there. They're used to bring laundry home, and you can fit everything in, and then the kids can just shove it into the bottom drawer of their dresser. So, which, by the way, we overpacked for our son, no question, last year. This past Easter, he came home with a backpack which had his laptop in it and his winter jacket and a pair of gloves. That was it. He didn't bring home a single thing after that. We were worried about him going to school. So he said he did all of his laundry before he came home. Now we just got to get him to do his laundry at home. So, okay. So let's keep rolling here. Do you have any comments on the diversity of the student body in terms of race, ethnicity, and geography? Wow. Not entirely sure where to start on this one. I know that the school itself is doing a tremendous job trying to increase overall percentages, let's just say, across the board of diversity. Diversity inclusion is a massive focal point for the school as a whole. I know this because I've actually worked closely with some people on this initiative. Is it where it should be? Probably not. But are they working, and do they have a plan towards it? Without question. This past year has definitely been challenging, obviously, but not just for Providence College, for so many different schools out there. But there absolutely is a plan in place. And I'm not entirely sure if there's stuff on the website about this, but I'm sure if you have very specific questions, there are people that you can talk to. From a geography standpoint, again, Peter and Julie kind of covered, being from Puerto Rico and from Utah and all. If there are more detailed questions specifically about Midwest or West Coast or outside of the United States, it seems like that there's a decent diversity, but it is one that they're trying to increase. I mean, Peter, just being from Puerto Rico specifically, how have you felt this to be for your girls?
Okay, well, my first daughter, Andrea, she went to the international program, which gets into PC a week earlier than everybody else. And there she met people from everywhere, from Dubai, she met people from London, from England, South America, all sorts of people she met there, Central America, and so forth. And there they did some kind of team building and whatnot, and then they were introduced to the major population, or the freshman class. And when they did that, they also did team building with that group. So I mean, they do a great job, in my perception, of integrating everybody. It's a small community, so I mean, diversity is tough with 3,000 people. It's not 50,000 students out there. But in my opinion, I think that there is diversity. I mean, as far as cultures and everything. So,
right. Do the parents get access to the children's grades? They do not. I think it's up to the student to pass those on. It's an interesting thing because you basically, the student has to sign up for everything, and then they have the ability to give you access, which is really kind of interesting since we're the ones footing the bill for everything. But I guess this is what every university does, and it's the way it should be, because it's teaching them to to go on their own. But the student does have to give you access to certain things that would enable you to see what they're working on. School spirit, passion for sports. Yes, there's a tremendous amount at Providence. Any of the panelists have student athletes by chance? No. Okay.
My
My son plays
youngest,
rugby. Billy is on the rugby team, and let me tell you, they got to practice for the first time on Tuesday, and he was on Thursday, and he was thrilled, so excited to be back. But the basketball culture, I mean, it's just fun. I think if anything, that is what maybe I know my son and his friends really missed about COVID. Just that getting together and being, at the different sports events or at the school events. They have concerts, and yeah, there's a lot of school spirit. When we looked at schools with him, I remember him saying, you know what I loved about Providence? Everybody had a sweatshirt on or a t-shirt or a hat that said Providence as you were walking around campus. And it really is true. Like when you're trying to decide and you have all these great schools with all these great offerings, and you can really tell not now, I'm sure, in COVID, but you can tell when you walk around campus in non-COVID times, the spirit is there. Yeah, for sure.
yeah, my youngest daughter, Angelica, was on the cheerleading squad, so she went to all the basketball games and all that stuff. It's good to note that there is the actual rink where they play hockey is on campus, which is a phenomenal place to watch hockey. I love it. Every time I go there, I go watch. I love hockey also, so even though from Puerto Rico. But the basketball is amazing. Their soccer is good too. I mean, they won a national championship in hockey. They won a national championship in cross country running or something like that. Also, so for such a small school, they compete on a Division I scale. So I mean, there's a lot of pride in that, being so small and being able to go out there against the big guys. Great stuff.
And being such, oh, sorry, go ahead, Arn. Go ahead.
Well, all I was going to say was, I mean, clearly the sports programs and other things, they can lend themselves to a great feeling of community on campus. But one of the things that we really enjoy too is, so, we watch the basketball games from here, especially this year. We watch the hockey games from here. And one of the nice things is it's nice to send texts to the kids who happens if the games are being played live, if you can go and spectate live, right? Who's at this game? Who's at that game? Who's watching? And it kind of brings us all together for those couple hours, twice a week or whatever. When someone's watching in Boston, someone's watching in New York, and people are on campus, whatever. It's just a nice feeling, and promotes that community even within our own family.
Yeah, they've done a great job also outside of the varsity sports with the clubs and the intramurals that they offer. I know, again, it was difficult this year, but they did really try to push a lot of socially distant activities, whether it be cornhole or can jam, frisbee games. The esports team is actually really good. So if you have any students that are into gaming, they compete at I guess it's the Big East level. So hockey is Hockey East, and UMass just won the national championship, and they compete against them every year, several times. And the basketball is Big East. So there really is a tremendous amount of activities from an athletic sports club standpoint. And I think that is definitely one takeaway here. There's a question here about any advice for anyone sending their child to school for the first time. Like, make sure that they get involved. Obviously, you can't force their hand, but get them involved in a club or a club's like it's really, there's so many opportunities, and you don't want to be the nagging parent, but at the same time, it's for their good to meet individuals. There is a question here about religion. Do you have how many religion classes you need to take? It's part of Western Civ for freshman and sophomore year. And
I think it might be 2 additional classes, but I'm not completely positive on that.
Does anybody know by chance what the requirement religious?
It is 2.
It's 2? Okay,
2
thanks.
theology classes, yes.
Okay, it's great question. And the faith-based feel on the campus is very strong for anybody who's who has that question. The masses are regularly packed, believe it or not. They call it last chance mass, I think it is. Does anybody know? On Sunday nights. And our son tells us it's packed constantly. So, it's again, another opportunity for the students to get a little bit closer with each other and their faith and their overall community, which is nice. Okay, so here's a tough one. My daughter's friend is a sophomore. He tells her of the many drinking parties in the dorm rooms. Is the RA responsible for monitoring parties? I would assume so. I don't really know like the details, but the RAs are typically responsible for the floor. We've met several of them, and they all seem very, very buttoned up with, very specific rules and regulations. I couldn't really speak more about that because we're just not on campus, but that might be something to pass over to Jackie or Diana after this call. Honors, let me see, what am I missing here? The public transportation into the city. Julie or Eileen, have your kids by chance taken the bus into town, and you want to field that question? So the question is, are there any concerns about students using the RIPTA public transportation into the city?
My oldest, so this goes back to 2013 when she was there, but she took the RIPTA all the time with her friends because that's what they did. I think since that time, Uber, has become more of a presence, for all of us. And I don't think my younger kids have ever gone on the RIPTA. They would just call an Uber and they split it with all their friends. And that's how they get around.
Yeah.
There is, I'm sorry, there is a bus stop right outside the campus, and students can use their PCID for the free RIPTA bus, so they don't have to pay to take the RIPTA as well.
Yeah,
our son used it last year, right from campus to get to the train station when he was coming home. And I think they used it a few times to go downtown into the city.
So can you tell us about your, for those of you that have children that graduated, how was the job finding process? Peter, you want to field that one first, and then Eileen and Arn, maybe?
Okay, it was really good, actually. One of the first things that obviously as a parent you're concerned about is your kid getting a job after they finish college. So Andrea, she got an internship at a accounting firm right before she graduated, and the school helped her with the whole process, and even the firm where she was at. So she ended up getting a job in Boston. So now she lives in Boston, and she has a pretty good job. So I mean, I was kind of skeptical because everybody says, hey, yeah, we'll help you find a job. We'll help you find a job. But the truth is that they did. For like our experience was very good, and the whole process and how they helped her to be happy, not just to find a job that paid a lot of money, but a job that really went with her. The alumni network is huge, so even the alumni can they give you advice and stuff like that, and they help you out. When she went from her internship to find an actual job, her boss helped her to find the job. So I mean, it's that kind of community. Everybody helps each other. I mean, I know it's kind of difficult for you for a lot of people nowadays to think that is, oh, this is like a fairy tale, but it isn't. I mean, it's a good community. They support each other. The school is there for the kids. It's there for the parents. This COVID thing, which has been very difficult for everybody. And Angelica is going through it on campus, and actually she knows it's not where she wants to do, but they're making the best of it. They're making the best of it, and they're making sure that she's safe. They do the COVID test twice a week, which is for her is kind of a pain, but it's a must do. And she's conscious about keeping herself safe, and her friends are conscious about keeping themselves safe, and everything's pretty good within the COVID thing. Anyways, back to the job. They did a great job. Angelica, I mean, Andrea is super happy. And now Angelica is going through the process. So awesome job. Thank you, PC.
Eileen, do you have any?
Yeah, I'll go quick with our kids, but the oldest one, her career rolled off of an internship she had just found locally, you know, in the summer before her senior year. But number two, for some jobs she applied to in her senior year, and it was all the PC network, like you said, Peter, of people, people saying, oh, so-and-so went to Providence, and then goes to the next level, and all of a sudden there's all these Providence people. So for a small school, it's like you mentioned Providence College, and people are coming out of the woodwork looking to help the next generation of friars, you know, to be successful in the business world. So she, that was number two. And number three, went through the career office to get an interview for an accounting firm heading into her junior year. Didn't end up having the internship last summer, but has a job. Well, it was truncated, the internship, but it was all through Providence that she made those connections. And now we'll have a job, you know, upon graduation at one of the accounting firms. So we've had great experiences. The kids are all happy and thriving in their careers. Providence set them up, you know, wonderfully to be successful and to be good communicators and all that stuff. You just got to be outside your comfort zone. Mention Providence College to people. I mean, it really does. It's a significant force. And even like there's local networking nights that the PC alumni organizations have in a lot of the cities. And I know I'm part of the Hartford club here. And you see the kids as young as like freshmen are coming to it. And you know, they're uncomfortable and they're all dressed nice, but they're talking to fellow friars. And I think it's a great rewarding experience for them to be able to talk to somebody that's, you know, 40 years older than them about their PC experience, and to see that you just got to open your mouth and start talking to people. And, you know, and people are looking out for each other in this, you know, college community.
That's great. The alumni network is exceptionally strong. Also, I'll be completely candid. Meg and I are based in New York. I've worked in New York City for my entire career. We have a nice extended network of alums that whenever students from PC come in and want to meet with individuals in the field that specifically I've been part of, which is digital marketing, you know, I'm able to call up an alum from Google or Snapchat, or we were at Casper mattresses recently, and Facebook, and there's just this, you know, no one says no, which is amazing. And I know that there's a program within the college also that goes out to the West Coast every year and tours the studios. And Peter Farrelly, the producer from The Green Book, I believe they won an Academy Award, if I'm not mistaken. Like, he's a PC alum, and he's at these meetings, and he's setting up all of these conversations for Providence College students. That's pretty amazing when you have individuals who are always willing to lend a hand to PC students. So we hope that really does help with, you know, the next stage of their life. Can you tell us your experience about the theater and performing arts? What's the type of commitment for the students, especially for non-music theater majors? So just very quickly, our son, again, he's in the pep band, he's in the wind ensemble, he sings in one of the chorus groups, and he's done a couple of the shows now, and it's a commitment. I think it's definitely more than high school, and no matter what anybody says how good the high school performances are, the college performances are truly professional. Like, they did Something Rotten was the musical they did last year, and it was fantastic on campus. They're doing a show this year that they just finished doing. Obviously, due to COVID restrictions, they had to modify it, but they've actually filmed it. They brought in studio professionals and set up these recording studios within the theater department itself. And it's supposed to go live, I believe, the 30th of this month. So you know, again, it's a commitment, but it's a commitment like any other club or sport on campus. Does
And the
anybody?
commitment is later, like it's, the rehearsals were after school hours, you know, it was probably like 6 o'clock to 10 or
Yeah.
something like that. They're after classes. And then on some weekends.
And if you're in the pep bands, you basically go to pretty much all the games, at least all the basketball games, a lot of the hockey games, and then they split time between some of the other events. So they seem to enjoy that, trying to get on TV or whatever. But does anybody else have any comments on music or theater or art?
No, I mean, we don't have, our children haven't participated, but we've enjoyed it, seeing some of the performances on, you know, family and alumni weekends and things like that. And I'm always amazed by and even at Mass, the singing at Mass, just beautiful. So.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing what they're doing at this level, at the university level. And again, sorry for not putting this in our introductions, but Meg and I are from Westchester County, White Plains, just north of Manhattan. Peter is Puerto Rico. Eileen, you said you're from Hartford, Connecticut?
Glastonbury, yep.
Glastonbury.
Yep.
Julie, where are you?
We were in Park City, Utah when Billy first went, and we just relocated to Charlotte. So now we're in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, and I wanted to touch base on something that Adam said too, that I think is really important, is that, you know, all of these opportunities, there are so many things for the kids to do. And one of the nice things about a small school or a smaller school is that people know each other. And I think they help each other get involved in something, because I know PC really encourages students to get involved as soon, you know, in something in their first few weeks on campus, because we know that's really good for them mentally, right? They are homesick. I mean, it sounds all peachy and rosy, but it's hard, right? It's hard to leave for the first time. It's hard for us, it's hard for them. And just the support of the school, I think, it really encouraging them to just join something, Friars Club, music, you know, whatever it is. And they start to connect to other people, and then it feels good. And I think that's probably why we all can speak like this, right? In such a sense of community, because our students, or our children rather, have been able to connect in different ways. So I think as a parent, that is the best advice I ever got or ever could give, is just to make them, you know, do something in the beginning, and it could really make their whole experience.
With regards to taking the train, our son has definitely taken Amtrak a couple of times. Very easy. Again, I've seen a lot of parents posting in the parent group saying, we're picking our child up and we live here. We're happy to drop them halfway or meet you halfway or something along those lines. So it's one thing that's great about Providence. Well, if you're flying in, there's a airport 25 minutes away. There's obviously the bus for anybody that's super local, or Amtrak coming right into town. Can anyone comment on the undecided advising program for undecided students? Does anybody have any information on that? We don't.
I can share a little bit.
Okay.
We have, for undeclared students, we have specially trained faculty from many different disciplines who work with students, serve as their academic advisors from when they come to campus until they choose their major. And there are lots of special resources for students as well. And, you know, even for students who have chosen their major, lots of times they're not necessarily sure that that's the major for them. So there are lots of resources to help students through the Center for Career Education. They run a major minor fair every year, and it's particularly helpful for undeclared students to learn about, with connecting with faculty, to learn about lots of different disciplines. There are workshops. And as I said, the faculty are specially trained and start working with the students in the summer during those first advising days, and stay with the students. And when students do choose a major, they're just assigned an advisor in their department.
Terrific. Thanks, Jackie. Jackie, if you're still there also, any idea when the first parents weekend might be?
Yes, I believe it is October 1st through the 3rd. And should tell you, we call it, it's now known as homecoming, because I've had some parents say, I'm searching on the web and I can't find family weekend. It's alumni family weekend. And a few years ago, what we did was to merge our family weekend with alumni homecoming. And it's a wonderful time. I'm sure parents have attended. Lots of energy and excitement for students or underclass students to connect with alums. So again, it's tentatively, and I'm pretty sure it'll be scheduled October 1st to the 3rd. And usually late spring, early summer information will go out to families about a schedule.
Thanks, Jackie. Sorry, I have a 10-year-old knocking on our door right now when we told her not to. Okay, so there's maybe 2 more questions. So if anybody has any more, feel free to throw them in here and we'll try to answer them quickly. But not sure you can speak to this, but how was your child's experience with COVID and quarantines? It seems that the triples and quads would potentially put many in quarantine. Do they stay together? So the school did put students that were in quarantine either in one specific apartment. As I mentioned at the very beginning, we have on campus, or the students have on campus, suites and apartments, and one of the apartments and the floors in the apartment were dedicated to those in quarantine. And they also had rooms down at the Marriott where students would be, sent to basically to fulfill the quarantine time. I'll be honest, just from what we've heard anecdotally through our son and through the Facebook page, it seemed like, the kids got through it. Okay. I mean, it's simple as that. It wasn't easy. The school did what they needed to do based on state guidelines. And most of the questions and worries were about, are the kids going to eat? And it seemed like everybody ate. They either delivered food to them through the food service on campus and or through the hotel, and they had their support group. I think more of the emotional support was what started to come up later on in the conversations, and are these students getting the support that they needed? And it really seemed like the school did a great job checking in on every single one of them and putting the student first, which is the way that it should be. So that from our opinion, from our standpoint, it seemed to work quite well. I don't know, again, Peter or Arn, Eileen, if you guys have any feedback on that.
I think it's like you said, Adam, obviously there were some bumps, and the kids, our daughter, the freshman, was exposed to a friend pretty early on in freshman year. So obviously it's not what you wanted. But I think from a parent's perspective, I knew she was in good hands with the protocol that the school was establishing. And I think it's a parent's responsibility, if you have trust in the college, which I think, through all the communications and everything, we should have trust in them. You have to support then the school's decisions to your child so that it doesn't, snowball, their dissatisfaction with, having to go to quarantine. It's the nature of the world we were living in. And I think they understood that, because it was happening all around them, different people being impacted, and the school had a plan. You knew where you were going to go, and you just had to follow the rules and make the best of it. And I think that's just how they all seem to survive.
Great. Peter, did you have something you wanted to throw in there? No. Okay. Did any of your students study abroad? How was that experience? Ours hasn't yet, and he probably won't, simply because he lost some time now. But Peter, did either of your daughters study abroad?
Same thing. My eldest didn't, and Angelica, the youngest one, was going to do it, but now she can't because of all the stuff that's gone on.
Eileen, did you have any of your?
No, none of ours did.
Okay. I mean, it is a great program. I've actually hired a number of Providence students and for my organization, and several of them have studied abroad, and they had nothing but amazing things to say about the program. They did implement a new program last year, and again, Jackie could probably give more details to this, but there is a Western Civ abroad program now, which looks really cool for students.
sophomores.
Yeah, for sophomores. You can actually study in the cities that you're reading about in the books, which is pretty amazing.
Right. Just to talk a little bit more quickly about the study abroad program, we have lots of different options for students as well. They can, in the summer, they have an opportunity if they don't want to go during the year for a month, studying a month abroad. We have some faculty members who will teach a course. The faculty member taught a course in Ireland and took his class for 2 weeks to Ireland in the summer. So there are lots of different options there as well, which I think is kind of exciting.
Terrific. And the parents, access to professors. Again, maybe Julie, do you have any thoughts on that? Has your son been?
Yeah, I mean, my son used, he developed relationships with them because in the subjects, the areas that he was most interested in, but they know these are, the professors are, it's a small school. It's not a classroom. They're not in classrooms of 90 students most of the time, they're in small groups and they get to know them. They write their recommendations, for their jobs. And so you're not being taught by TAs all the time. I mean, it really is, that part is exactly the way they say it will be, and it is. And for study abroad, I'm sorry, my young one called me at that moment. My son actually wanted to go to Argentina, where they didn't have a program, particularly in the area where he was looking to go, and they helped him to kind of create that or make that happen. He didn't get to go because of COVID, but they were very helpful in the study abroad office in working with him. So I think it's just empowering the kids to see what they need and what they want, and the school really tries hard to make it work.
Great. Just 2 more questions. It looks like here. How much of a party school is PC? I think that's come up a couple of times. Any issues here? If your kid's not into sports, will they still feel part of the college community? Again, just speaking specifically of our son, the answer is yes. Our son is not a drinker. He still enjoys parties. He still enjoys being with his friends, and he has found a great group of fellow students that he hangs out with that are into the things that he's into. And truthfully, they're into other things, but they're all friends. So if you walk through campus right now, on a nice day, it's just an amazing feeling to see these students sitting around and talking and hanging out. Providence is going to be like any other college. You're going to have your pockets of parties and partiers and those that are not into it. And that's why I mentioned earlier, like your student, they'll find their place. Encourage them to join these amazing clubs that they're into. Not be afraid to do what they want to do and what they are passionate about doing, and they'll be terrific. So, I wouldn't worry too much about any school, whether it's Providence or any school for that matter, having a party school, a rep, because it's really, I think, just in pockets. And then there's a question here. When do the incoming freshmen meet with their advisors? How close a relationship do students have with their advisors? Jackie, can I toss that to you again?
Sure. Students will meet with their advisors for the first time in June during those advising days in Friartown. And they'll meet with them twice during that first day. We want that relationship to take hold early on, clearly. So that first day in June, they'll meet with them at first to talk about their role as an advisor, how they'll work with them. And then they get them ready to register for their courses at the end of that day. And we really practice what's called developmental advising, that it's not task oriented, that you just meet with an advisor and choosing a course, but process oriented, because we want students to see that their advisor is the facilitator of their educational experience. And so it's something that we put a lot of time and energy in helping students to make those important connections.
Jackie, one more for you here. It says, what's being planned for orientation this year?
Okay, well, we have our advising days in June, as I said, and I understand that those will be virtual this year. That's my understanding. Then we have orientation in the fall. Our freshmen move in a few days before upper class students come in. And during those 3 or 4 days, students have opportunities to meet with faculty, to learn about college life, to learn about policies. We have orientation leaders that run small group opportunities and experiences for students. So it's really a real bonding experience for our freshman class. I should say too, during those advising days in June, parents are invited as well during that one-day experience for students. So there's an opportunity for parents to learn more about some of the issues that we're talking about this evening. You'll have also an opportunity to connect informally with the academic advisor of your son or daughter as well.
Excellent. Great. Well, I think that's all the questions. And I realized I started with that one piece of advice that our son gave our nephew about Tide Pods not being reusable. The other two were everybody should have Venmo, because they Venmo constantly. And it's a great way for you to send them money if they happen to need it. And the third one was, it's not going to be mom's cooking, but it's okay. So, if that's it, pass it back over to Diana and Jackie.
Yeah, we just want to thank all of you for joining tonight, sharing your experiences with your different students, and for all of you parents attending who have accepted children to the class of 2025. We hope we were able to give you some helpful information. I mean, you're learning from the experts. I always say when students are visiting campus and talking with our current students, they're talking with the people who are there living the dream, and these are the supports that got them there. So we thank you so much for joining this evening, and have a wonderful time. And please continue to be in touch with our office with your child's admission counselor. They can find the admission counselor's contact information right inside the student portal. And then to connect with Jackie through the parent and family program. We are here to help answer a lot of those last minute questions. We know this has been a very backwards college process for so many students. So we hope that you found this evening helpful, and certainly thanks for joining and being so active with your questions as well. We really appreciate it. Take care, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care. Good luck.
Good night.